The amount of damage that he did is beyond apology. I mean, and most people would have never played chess again. My greatest crime was winning $100 at 12 years old. Why was I a brand ambassador of his company 2 months ago? 2 months before that match. Why was I given a wild card invitation to a tournament that he basically decides to players 2 weeks before the Singfield Cup? Oh, and I'll actually tell you a funny thing. Magnus actually cheated online on camera. He was streaming a tournament, and it's a prize money event, and another grandmaster sitting next to him. And the grandmaster says, make that move. And he didn't see that move. He made the move and won the game. That's like, you should be, if I did that, I'd be banned. In the chess world, he's kind of like babied. Whatever he wants, he gets. A lot of the tournaments he plays, he decides the format. He has huge influence on who to invite. So since the chess is such a hierarchical, egotistical game, and he has all this influence and power, he develops sort of a god complex.
Hans, it's good to meet you. I, about 2 days ago, watched your Netflix documentary and I was fascinated by it. You've been accused of a lot of things in that documentary and since, specifically from Magnus Carlsen. But you beat him in 2022. Mm-hmm. What do you think he was seeing when he played you?
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation. I mean, he actually spoke about his experience during that game for the first time in that documentary. It's interesting that he was saying how he perceived me as being very not being nervous, being very relaxed, being very nonchalant. I think I was always like that. I was not really the type to, in chess, there are no breaks during a game, but you can walk around on your opponent's move. So I'd also sort of started the tournament very, very well. I had, in my first round, completely outplayed Levon Aronian, who's one of the greatest, players of all time. I failed to convert, and then I had just beaten Mamedyarov. So having those two dominant performances in really what was my first top-level event, I think gave me a lot of confidence. And as the game went on, I really was in a position where there's nothing to worry about. I was in complete control. I mean, there are some types of positions that, depending on the dynamics, one mistake can cost you the game. But there, it was really just so, it was a free roll. So I think that from his perspective, things went wrong in the opening. I knew his surprise. I reacted well. And then he sort of just saw me gain more and more confidence, which is not really what his usual experience is. I mean, most of the other players that he competes against, he's been dominating them for so long that he's built a psychological edge. It's similar to how, I guess, a Federer or Nadal, after you play with them on the tour for 10 years and they beat you so many times, you play differently. There's a different psychological relationship. So I would say that mentally, it must have been very, very difficult for him to see this 19-year-old kid exude such confidence, in contrast to him being the person who usually uses that type of confidence as a intimidation tactic. So perhaps that's why he says he felt powerless, but in reality, the game itself was very nervy on my end. So, I let the advantage go multiple times.
Are you a different type of player? That's something he was not used to.
The style of chess, I would say no, but my character was something certainly incredibly unique at the time. At that stage, now in chess, we've seen the young crop of players rise. And if you look at the top 10, top 20 players in the world, a majority, if not at least half, are young players who've risen. However, at that stage, there's only one other player who had properly broken through, which is Alireza Firouzja. But the young crop of talents that you see now had not really broken through. So I was really probably the second young kid to really, really break through to the top. Or at least in that type of event, and the confidence, the trash talking, there is no one else like that, and that's and that level of confidence certainly disturbed him. You
also, being younger than Magnus, I think, is he 35?
He's about 35, yeah, and I'm 22.
You're 22 now, but you were 19 at the time.
Yeah.
I always have to remind myself, my kids grew up in a world with only ever known the internet, mobile phones, whereas when I was a kid, there was no internet. And so you have a different life experience. Mm-hmm. You've grown up in a world not only with the internet, but with AI and machine learning.
Yeah, I guess now, yeah.
Do you think that, therefore, even without you realizing that you've trained in a different way from Magnus, and therefore you have different skills that he's not used to?
Well, the thing with chess is historically there was there's been an amazing democratization of information and the ability to learn through technology and through the internet. Any kid anywhere in the world can go online and play a chess game against the best players in the world. All the books are public. I mean, in the old days, the Soviet system, one of their advantages was their sort of control over the information. All of the chess books were written in Russian. They had all the best coaches. Back then, traveling was not as accessible as it is now. So this in chess especially, or you see it in all sciences, there's historically been a barrier to entry to those types of, let's say, very laborious and tedious scientific matters, where they're often gatekeepers like there were with the Soviets. But in terms of the way that I trained, I actually had a very sort of interesting chess upbringing because I was not groomed in the same way as my other sort of colleagues around my age were. So, I actually finished high school, which is incredibly rare. If you look at the other top players like Nodirbek Abdusattar, Valery Razafruzha, Sindarov, Gukish, they didn't really go to school. They didn't actually have a proper education. So they were sort of groomed and coached and nurtured in a different way. So my honest sort of chess progression and I kind of skyrocketed after I graduated high school. So I wouldn't say that I was really part of that like AI chess engine boom. I was more so just playing so many games, just the sheer volume combined with my pattern recognition abilities gave me the opportunity to sort of improve in my own way. I wouldn't really compare that to like sort of the AI boom, although now you see certain young players who have a very concrete style where they try to calculate everything, where they play really, really weird openings that are based on deep computer preparation. That's not really my style. I would say that I'm honestly actually my style closer to the older players. But I can understand how from a non-chess perspective you try to rationalize the difference or why he might have been shocked by the game.
So what was it like for you, therefore, to be accused of cheating? Essentially, you were... I know there's an admission you did it earlier online, but I think it's different to be accused in the live world, and you face consequences from that. You essentially got cancelled from parts of the chess world.
Yeah, I mean, the distinction obviously between online with when there's no money involved, and then obviously in a person tournament where there's hundreds of thousands of dollars online is an important distinction to be made. The consequences I faced, and there are still consequences I faced just by that accusation, is immense. I mean, I was sort of even blacklisted by my own country. I mean, I received no support from the American chess players, American Federation, American tournaments. I basically, in chess, it's not like other sports where you have a circuit. Like in the ATP Tennis Tour, it's very hard to blacklist someone because you can qualify, right? You can qualify, and like Emma Raducanu won the US Open qualifier and went on to win the entire thing. So, from these high-level invitation events, I didn't have the opportunity, and honestly, like, set my chess career. Even now, it's been 4 years. I'm still trying to persevere and push through. I mean, even now, I'm at my peak ranking, number 12 of the world. I'm on the precipice of breaking through. But that's been really almost 4 years of like really, really pushing and trying to make the most of my opportunities and trying to also battle the things off the chessboard, right? Because a lot of my competitors, they don't have to think about being blacklisted. They don't have to think about media attention. They don't have to think about legal things, So it's been a very difficult battle to have the mindset of I only want to play chess. I don't want to be this content creator. I don't want to be famous. I just want to be the best chess player in the world. So having to balance is a lot of distractions.
What like specifically do you have to deal with so like people understand?
So the lack of invitations makes it very hard for you to compete against the best players in the world. Some organizers kind of view me as a radioactive, where if they know Magnus or Icaro are playing, they don't want to invite me to upset them. And Magnus and Icaro have a lot of leverage for, to these organizers and competing, since they rarely compete over the board. They have a lot of leverage in these tournaments. So that's kind of me. I'm kind of, from a realistic perspective, being, the top American chess player, also being able to bring a lot of viewership, a lot of media attention to a tournament, that you'd think that I would be an ideal player for a tournament from a commercial perspective. But things are improving. I would say after this Netflix documentary, things have changed. I've got more invitation. I've got more opportunities. But there were like 3 years where I just kind of had no opportunities. I had to organize my own matches. I mean, I had
Did it
no.
cost you like financially?
Of course, I mean, I was spending my own money to organize tournaments because there were no other opportunities. I had no sponsorship. Like, most of my competitors are either sponsored by their government, sponsored by different billionaires and oligarchs of their country, or private banks. I mean, I would say someone of my level and age, I mean, they're being sponsored at least, I'd say 200,000 to 400,000 a year just
Wow.
in to support their chess career. I mean, they have full-time coaches, they have teams. I mean, the Uzbek player Sandarov just won the tournament and is welcomed by his president. I mean, his president is personally sponsoring his chess career and his team. So, I mean, for me to compete with that is very difficult on a commercial level when they have unlimited resources and all these opportunities. So I've persevered regardless and made things work. But it's just taken me a lot more time to succeed in spite of that.
So how do you feel about Magnus now? Because it's really his single accusation and refusal to play, which had you labeled in the chess world as a cheat. And a lot of people assumed you did. And I think watching the documentary, some people leave thinking you did, some people leave thinking you didn't, and also have some people change their mind and come and apologize to you.
I mean, in terms of that game and all of my over-the-board chess, to me the greatest indicator is if the two sort of chess.com heads, or I call them the Chess Mafia, if the two Chess Mafia heads who are so desperate to lie, who have every incentive to lie, who wanted me to be guilty so badly, if the people who hate me most, are saying that I'm innocent when it comes to all over-the-board chess games, I mean, if you're not going to believe the people who are incentivized most to lie, then who are you going to believe? I mean, it's just kind of a matter of. Also, if you look at all the top players, one thing they could have included in the documentary was all the top players coming to my defense.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at there's Anish Giri, Vishy Anand. I mean, if you interview any top chess player now and you say, what do you think about that game? They're going to say, of course, Hans is a legitimate player. Nothing happened. People were kind of just put under this spell because Magnus and Hikaru and Chess.com had all this sort of power to persuade the media and then to persuade the largest chess content creators, because chess is a huge YouTube fan base. There's Gotham Chess, 6 million subscribers. There's Hikaru, 3 million subscribers. There's Botez. I mean, the chess viewership and audience is serious on YouTube. I mean, if you search my name, there's hundreds of millions of views of just chess videos. I mean, it's a underappreciated niche that people don't really aware of. So the sheer numbers of like sort of defamatory damage they will do to my life made it very hard for me to like fight against that as a 19-year-old individual. But I would hope that if people watch the documentary and they see there was never any evidence, they knew there was never any evidence, and that it was just an unfortunately sort of they manipulated it because they saw me as a threat for whatever reason. I mean, I don't, I'd hope that would be the logical conclusion.
Have you discussed it again with Magnus? Because you said to me before we started, you still play him online.
We haven't spoken. We don't speak.
But you play chess. It's interesting.
I mean, I don't think there'd be no circumstance where we'd have a conversation. I mean,
what if he apologized? Came out and said he was wrong?
The amount of damage that he did is beyond apology. I mean, he tried to ruin my. It's not even. I mean, he went to such lengths to destroy my life that, I mean, come on, like, this is a person like that. It's the least likely person in the world that I would ever have any cordial relationship with.
But so do you think it was you just broke his ego?
I would say that some of the interviews and comments I made after clearly evoked an emotional reaction, because you see in the documentary that he wanted to go to my room and knock on my door. And his dad had to tell him that would be a bad idea. So, I mean, we're not exactly UFC fighters. I mean, you see these UFC fighters who they have an argument in a press conference, and like Khabib says, come to Dagestan, and Conor McGregor says, I want to come after you. And they even had that fight in New York. So chess players, I mean, to say that he was going to knock on my door and try to figure out what's going on. I mean, chess players are pretty logical people. That, he must have been in a very emotional state, very riled up, sensitive state to do something like that. So, it was sort of but he's known to have these types of mental breakdowns, to be very childish, and he's like that in business as a person as well. He'll storm out of things when they're not going. He can be very incredibly childish, and that's sort of well known in the chess world. So I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm not surprised, but the entire thing, I haven't even received an apology from him or from Hikaru or from all the people who defamed me. So I mean, it's there's it's not like I'm holding a grudge, but it's not like I'm going to befriend these people.
Is the goal now, therefore, to catch him to become number one?
Well,
be honest, I scored a bit.
No, I mean, for me, it's not just about catching him. It's just about becoming the best.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm winning, if I'm playing good moves, and if I'm making the best move I can every single time, that's going to compound. And if I'm working hard every single day, and I'm disciplined, that's going to compound over time. And I do firmly believe, if things go my way and I work hard and I'm consistent, that I will become the world champion at some point. The main luxury. I mean, obviously he's dominated, but he's 35 and he's sort of already on the way out. So I don't really view him as this sort of long-term rival because his age just wouldn't allow him to do that, right? And he's already stepped back from classical chess, which is the most serious chess discipline. So, I would say that my chances against him, and also my chances against the best players in the world, it only increases as time goes on because, in my current position, I started my own company, I raised venture capital, I have a lot of resources, I have my own chess platform, so.
A rival mafia.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I call it the resistance, but I suppose,
the anti-establishment.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, that's actually a lot of our imaging and branding, and I guess my rhetoric is around that. But I'm certainly, a very anti-establishment in some degrees, in some aspects. So I have resources, I have a team behind me, so I'm a lot more focused. I have a full-time coach working with me now. I mean, I have training camps, I have resources. With resources, a lot of things open up. So to me, like even the Netflix documentary, a lot of people are going to look at that and be like, wow, maybe we should invite him. Maybe, we should invite him and just have all the media come. It's great for our tournament, So I personally feel like once I'm at a stage where I'm just treated as any other player and I have normal opportunities, normal training, I don't have to worry about this and that. I feel like that's when my true potential will be unlocked. So, I think, I'm patient. I'm only 22. I mean, as a top chess player, you can really compete at the highest level until 45, 40 if you're really, really quite disciplined and good physical health.
This show is brought to you by my lead sponsor, Iron, the AI cloud for the next big thing. Iron builds and operates next-generation data centers and delivers cutting-edge GPU infrastructure, all powered by renewable energy. Now, if you need access to scalable GPU clusters or are simply curious about who is powering the future of AI, check out iron.com to learn more, which is IREN.com. I had a thesis, so I watched the documentary, and I kind of went on a journey through it. At the start, I was like, who's this loud kid, whatever. And when they talked about you cheating, I actually paused it and I went on my phone. I was looking at the history of cheating in chess and how people did. And I couldn't come to a logical way. I couldn't figure out a way you would have. And then towards the end, I actually started to feel sorry for you. And I was like, actually, I want you to beat Magnus. You had that rematch. But I had this thesis and I was like, I alluded to it at the start. There's that perhaps there is a way you think differently to other chess players. There's a fundamental different way you think. And the only way I can try and explain this, I didn't even know till I watched the Queen's Gambit that there's these different openings. Like, I am a crap chess player. If I played you, you'd beat me very quickly. I just kind of guess and look around. I didn't realize there's all these moves and defensive moves and you can kind of identify it. I assumed that, having seen the training models, that the AIs, they approach chess differently. They think about it differently from a human, and perhaps that changed the way you think about things, and you maybe operated more like an engine. You could see things that traditional chess players couldn't. Does that make sense?
I could understand the thesis, but to be honest, I mean, humans have limitations. I would say that my greatest personal gift as a chess player is my pattern recognition ability. I displayed this. There's this thing where you have to solve amount of puzzles in 5 minutes. And you have 5 minutes, you have to solve as many puzzles as possible. If you get more than 3 wrong, you lose. So the goal is to get as many in. At some point, I was maybe top 5 in the world at this, and a friend of mine realized that after you serve the first 50, 55 puzzles, they get really, really hard. And he realized that there was the puzzles from, let's say, 55 to 90 were publicly available. There were thousands of thousands of thousands, but if you could just memorize 5, 6, 7, 10,000 puzzles, you could just solve as many as possible. So this guy gave me this idea. I started memorizing puzzles. I memorized maybe 5,000 in a couple days. You just see it once and you remember it. Like if I see puzzle, it's very quick. And then,
dude, I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
Yeah. And then at some point I solved 85 puzzles in 5 minutes, which at the time was, I think, the second highest in the world. And the only guy better than me at that time was the guy who invented this method. So to that degree, obviously, I understand that there's some pattern recognition ability that I have that's unique. Maybe not unique, but at least better or more efficient than my competitors. However, I would also say that my personal approach is that I believe that my mind is like a sponge of patterns and examples. So I personally, my ideal training day is just playing for 10 hours. And then I personally have the ability to subconsciously absorb everything that happened and very quick to recognize patterns. One misconception about my game with Magnus was that I played really, really well. Actually, I didn't actually play that well. The 2 games I played previously in that tournament were far more accurate and far more precise. And the notion that I just crushed him was actually just not true. There were 2 instances in the game where I threw away my advantage. So there were 2 instances where he could have come back and equalized the game. So, this was another sort of misconception that he actually played one of the worst games in like the last few years, which was probably compounded by how nervous he was. And this is not debatable. This is not like a debatable fact. Like my accuracy score was just lower. The game that I won before that was far more impressive. So,
for a non-chess player like myself, how do I understand that when you say there's a moment where he's given up the advantage? During the game, can you both think you're in advantage, or do you know?
Usually, the top players, you can feel the tension. Sometimes it can be incredibly complicated and you don't know, but you have a feeling. But basically, to judge, one of the simplest way to judge how good a game is just to match the accuracy of your moves with a computer, which is perfect. And top level chess, some people play 98% accuracy, some play 97. Like in that game, I played 93, which is very low for that tournament, or for compared to my other games. So, that's one sort of misconception. I personally, this notion that because I grew up with AI, there are younger guys who are far more into that AI sphere than me. If you're, talking about like AI chess and like this mindset, so an AI doesn't actually, they don't think conceptually. They just think by like, concretely. So basically, actually, when we work on chess, we rent cloud engines, which makes the computer really fast. And the average speed will be 100,000 meganodes per second. And the computer will be, let's say, calculating between like a depth of 30 to 50 moves ahead. And it's looking at every single possible move. So the computer is brute force it. So they're not like thinking, as chess players, we think this, that, positional ideas, maneuvering. We think strategy, right? We think concretely within our limitations, but a computer is just like brute forcing, like when let's say someone's hacking your password, they're brute forcing every single combination of what your password is. And eventually they find it, right? So there are some chess players that are very, very rely on calculation. So at every single move, they're calculating 3, 4, 5 moves ahead of trying to get to the core of the position. There are certain players like that from the younger generation. And there are certain coaches that like induce that style. The style that I would say I'm more of a positional, strategic, technical player. It's actually relying on far less calculation. It's more, nuanced positional details, sort of risk aversion, keeping positional control, positional binds, So, I personally wouldn't put myself in that box.
So the machines themselves, they're able to just think far ahead of you. And
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have all this cloud computing power, they're just brute forcing it.
So it's very robotic.
It's purely robotic.
There's been no strategies.
No, there are neural net engines.
Okay.
There are some called like Leela Zero, which has a bit more strategy. But my understanding of Stockfish, which is the best engine, it's a brute force thing. I mean, it's a lot different. Like if you were to compare a chess player to like an engine style, it would be someone who tried to calculate everything out. But I mean, the human mind has its limits. I mean, it's impossible to play like an engine in the calculation sense.
So where does flair exist in chess? Where can you have a bit of flair, something where you go a little bit rogue yourself, do things differently?
It's definitely in the opening. So I mean, chess is the beginning phase of the game. Because of computers and because computers are so strong, you can honestly make a lot of things work. I mean, in chess, the drawing margin is so high that you can really mess around a bit. And if you prepare it well, you can play some interesting stuff. So there's such a wide tree of openings that players have their preferences, have their styles where they'll go for a crazier line, they'll take more risk, they'll do this or that. So that's where you have your style. And then also certain players, you can tell some of them choose very attacking positions. Some players love endgames. Some players, play very slow positional chess. Some players always want to be in control. They want some positional margin. I mean, that's where you see the individual styles and flares and individuality,
And are you playing the board and the player?
So I would say that in a singular game, there's far less of a psychological aspect because it's only one game. When you play matches, like I organize these one-on-one matches, it's much more of a symbiotic relationship.
How many games?
So I just played in Paris 12 games.
Okay.
2 games a day across 6 days. Each game lasted about 2 to 3 hours. And in that match, there's way more of a psychological factor because you're battling one person for 6 days. I mean, you're looking at when you play a round robin event and it's 9 different players who you're playing one game each, you don't feel that same pressure. Where if you almost beat them and then they feel like they escaped, or you don't feel that momentum as much. So in the matches, there's a huge psychological effect because also in the openings, since you are playing one person, there's when you play the opening a second time, either they have to deviate or go away. Like once you kind of know where someone's going to go, I mean, it's like in tennis, eventually you see the guy always hits the ball to the same place. You're going to start predicting like the ball's going to go there, right? So
do you train against the player as well?
So yeah, what you do is usually you have a team or a coach and you match your repertoires. So, let's say I have 1,000 of my recent games, he has 1,000 recent games. Let's say I'm playing white, I look at his black games against my white games to try to see where I can catch him, where I can prepare, see what recent game, where I can surprise him. It's basically cross-reference the databases of both players, trying to find an improvement in one of their games, trying to find an opening that they play where you can lead them in a direction where they're uncomfortable. So, I mean, that's the general opening dynamic.
And how do you know when you're in the zone? Sportsmen talk about being
I would
in the
say,
zone.
in different time controls, you reach different sort of degrees of flow state. In the really fast games, like the 3-minute each blitz games, you just sort of reach this sort of insane adrenaline and hyper focus that is sort of unparalleled. In a classical game, which lasts much longer, it's more serenity and peace and quiet in your mind. So there's different flow states, but for me, the strongest feeling of being in it and really being in it is when I'm playing blitz chess and I can feel the moves, the momentum. I'm making move after move. He makes a move, I make my move back in 1 second. It's a very much of a reactionary. It feels far more sportive.
How long do you have to make a decision in blitz?
So you have 3 minutes for the entire game. Then every move you make, you get an extra 2 seconds.
Oh, so it's literally.
Well, if you run you don't have to make your first move. You don't have to make a move every 5 seconds. You just, don't want to run out of time.
Is that 3 minutes each?
For the entire game, yes. And so you hit the clock, time goes down to make a move, +2, you make a move. So that's...
It sounds like something, if you want to be the best in the world, you have to live and breathe this. And when you talk about your training, your coach, it does sound similar to boxing.
I would say
Training
that
camps?
I would compare it to boxing, more so tennis than boxing, but I would say tennis and boxing are the sports, or at least the sportsmen that I've found most inspiration from have been in those sports. And, those are, I think, the most technical and intellectual, sports.
So with all of that, the fact that you've worked so hard, the cheating accusations.
Yeah, I mean, it's destructive, right? And it's not just and it wasn't, and it was at a point where I was very vulnerable to those things because, I wasn't established. I didn't have a sponsorship team behind me, and no one stood up for me, which made it even worse. So, that would be the equivalent of like and the fact of who it came from was very, very detrimental. So obviously it was incredibly frustrating, but one of the things I had to tell myself, like, if they think I'm too good to be true, and I know I'm that good, then they better wait until they feel the real power of my strength. Because if obviously some of the accusations were statistically sort of just BS and did not have a real basis. I tried to just find the silver lining in it and everything so that I could move forward positively.
So do you think going through that, though, has made you a better player in some way?
I've thought about this a lot. I think that the mental resilience that I acquired is something unique. And I would think that in comparison to other players, when I'm on that World Championship stage, when I'm playing, when one split-second decision can decide your life, I do think that everything I've experienced would have conditioned me to not feel the nerves like my opponent would. Obviously, in sports, it's hard. It's a bit of an inexact science, so it's unclear whether nerves help or hurt you. Sometimes the nerves and the stress and the adrenaline can act as a catalyst for increased focus. Sometimes the nerves can have you mentally collapse. So I would say that my eventual achievement and success, I think, will be more inspiring to others and will be a greater signal to the world and a sign of the importance of perseverance. Whether it made me a better player, time will tell. But I try not to live in the past and say, what if this, what if that? I think it's a very damaging thing. So, my long or short answer would be that I think my eventual triumph will be greater than it would have been because of the mental stability, the mental resilience and toughness that I acquired.
Do you think people even understand what you went through? I mean, you talked about it a little bit in the documentary, you mentioned a bit here, but there must have been some really rough, lonely moments. Did you think of giving up?
No, but imagine you dedicate your entire life to something from the age of 8. You have just defeated the world champion. You've just had your breakout moment. You're falsely accused of the worst thing you could be accused of. The most powerful company that controls the entire game decides to ruin your life. The 2 most powerful players blatantly defame you. Every single chess player hops on their bandwagon. Every single content creator on the chess space hopped on their bandwagon because they had financial interests. I mean, it was a death sentence. I mean, it was it was the end of my career. Honestly, I really hate it when people say that this benefited my life, because to say that, like, some people who, it kind of speaks to their character. They say, "Oh, you should be happy. You have a Netflix documentary. You're famous. Shouldn't you be happy?" And I mean, to me, it really shows such terrible character, because what I achieved and what I persevered was a miracle of mental strength, and most people would have never played chess again. They would have never competed at the highest level again. They would have never. I don't understand how. From that case, honestly, one of the things that probably emboldened them to do all these things is they just thought that I could never recover from it. I mean, the lawsuit was probably a surprise to them, and the level of lawyers that I was able to retain, and they probably thought I would just give up and go away. But the fact that I rose to the number 12 in the world through playing really subpar events where you're risking a lot of rating, it's like trying to become the best tennis player in the world, but you can only play junior events. I mean, it's not exactly good for your training as well. So I mean, going through that was incredibly difficult. But at this stage,
sorry, what I'm trying to get at is nobody gets to live in your head or would get to have seen you day to day. Like, what were you going through emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, there at some point there was a hate and just disappointment and frustration, and then it became pity that these people who were so powerful and had everything that they ever needed took it upon themselves. I felt bad for them that they had it in their character to do something like this, because I understood that everything in life comes with a price, and that in whatever way they would pay the price. I mean, karma exists, right? And if I firmly believe there's balance in the world. So at some point I realized, listen, they did all these things to me, but then I accepted that for them to have such character, they must have some serious issues themselves to be capable of that. So I try to sort of, there is some advice, I don't know where it's from, but the only way to win against someone who tried to ruin your life or who tried to do something is not revenge, but it's rising so far above them that they can't even reach you. So, obviously there have been times where I've maybe strayed from that and entered drama or acknowledged things I shouldn't have. But my general approach is just to become so good and so successful, and to spread the real truth and what actually happened as best as I can. And then, there's nothing I can do about them and everything they're doing against me. The only thing that's in my power is what I have control over. And that's really just playing the best chess possible.
Yeah, it's good. Like, somebody once said to me, bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way. I mean, if I became too obsessed with everything that happened, how could I move on, right? I mean, there's some parts of it that I just have to sort of mentally put in the past, and the real solution is just to win. I mean, I kind of realize that if I keep winning and I become the number one player in the world, I mean, the world, how would the world, think anything different? I mean, how can I, when you're the best? I mean, it's a simple way of getting your message out there.
And when you do it, if I had the opportunity to sit with you, I think one of the questions I would say is probably aligned with what people have said to you that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you change anything? I mean, the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
Everything they did was terrible and awful to you, but where you are right now,
mm-hmm.
and where you are with your life, would you actually want to change anything that's happened?
From the position I am in now, it's hard to say. I really just try to not even enter that type of theoretical discussions, because I think it's damaging. Because once you start thinking, would I change this? Would I change that? First of all, I think you stop being grateful for the gift of life and all the opportunities you have. So, I'm personally, a very faithful and spiritual person, and I believe that you should, accept, whatever the universe bestows upon you. So, I could theorize about that, but I just don't think it's productive. I don't, because I really think that for me, the mindset is, if you even let in a crack of doubt or what if this, then you open up your mind to so many other thoughts. But I mean, life. I mean, it's in the past. Life gave me what I have, and I hope to be able to prove in the long term that it was hopefully in some sick way for the best.
And for them, is there any point where you've said about the Chess Mafia and the intentions and such, but also there's other players, that there are people out there who perhaps honestly thought that there was something going awry, but they were just misreading the situation?
I mean, we live in such a short attention span world, where such a headline culture and cancel culture, to where if you're the average person and you read all these headlines and you see these people who are supposedly reputable say these things, it's not like I hold something personally against them, but if you're going to do something that ruins someone's life, and especially if you're in that position of power, with great power comes great responsibility. And for them to do what they did, really in faulty, biased, incomplete information. I mean, they were only seeing what they wanted to see. And in reality, if you want to discuss greater players' accomplishments, or let's say statistical outliers, there have been greater examples in the recent past. Like, for example, Gukesh, who's now the world champion, won the first 8 games in the Olympiad, which is unprecedented and statistically an anomaly, right? And if they wanted to ruin his life and say this was too much, I mean, they probably wouldn't succeed because he has a pretty good support system behind him. But I mean, the main, it's not what I blame them. I would hope that most people show a bit more critical thinking and do a bit more research. I think that's lacking in our society, right? But obviously, people seem to be taking the mainstream media less seriously, and podcasting like this and other forms of media have obviously become far more influential. And I think people should take longer form. Like, for example, I never take negative clips seriously on a short-term video. Like, if there's a short-term video taken out of context and there's hate comments, I just can't take it seriously, because it's just that's become the entire definition of society, is that these clips are good. People are so addicted to TikTok and Reels that the perception of a lot of these people is defined in 15 seconds. So I would hope that some people have a bit more of a measured view of the world and how they judge people.
So do you think your lens for viewing the world, therefore, has changed based on your experience?
Obviously, yeah. I mean, I lost complete faith in the media whatsoever. I mean, I lost faith in...
We'll get there eventually.
I mean, I lost all faith in the concept of people's perception of reality. I mean, if they could convince so many people, something so ridiculous, then, what else has that been done about? So obviously, yeah, that certainly formed my worldview. And obviously, I dealt with a lot of these journalists personally. So I could see firsthand how manipulative and cunning and just blatantly corrupt they were. So, I mean, I don't really have much faith in the, let's say, media establishment, or the mainstream media establishment.
So what do you have faith in now?
Myself. I mean, myself and the people that are close to me, I have faith in. But most importantly, I have faith in the truth. But every time my life goes on, that faith wanes.
Do you think the accusations will go, though? Or do you think that's going to stay forever?
I mean, I would say the consensus among the real serious chess players is that I'm innocent and I'm treated like that. Especially among the top players. Because in the outside world, there is an immeasurable amount of damage done. But I do believe in the long term that will be overshadowed by my eventual triumph.
Which will come when?
I mean, as soon as I can make it happen. I mean, I'm trying my best.
There's no permanent long-term damage, though, with this, right?
No, there's definitely permanent damage. I mean, if you look at the sheer numbers of news articles, I mean, that can carry. It depends on how many. I mean, I guess you see someone like Kim Kardashian, who became famous from a sex tape. Does that linger with her? She's doing pretty well, I guess. Or I guess you see a lot of celebrities, successful people who acquire notoriety through infamy, and then somehow they convert that infamy into fame, money, and so I wasn't as cunning as those people. I was more so focused on chess, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
It's a lot for a 19-year-old to even try and navigate. Look, I've got kids. My son's 22 in a few days, and I still consider him as a kid to me. And I know how much he's improved over the last 3 years since he was 19. I could not imagine him being put through this, whether he cheated or not. Like, just that experience of a 19-year-old is.
Well, I mean, going through that when you're innocent, and then a few years later, a Netflix documentary comes out and like, oh, you're innocent, but then you went through all this. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, some serious questions have to be asked of the people who put me through this, and that's not being asked. But I guess, it's all. I guess life and the world was all about power. So I guess if you want to question the powers that be, you have to acquire power to your, yourself to some degree. It's the unfortunate reality.
I want to talk to you about one of my new sponsors, which is Monetary Metals. Now, if you're like me, you probably spend a lot of time thinking about sound money and how to protect yourself from currency debasement. Now, for some people, that's Bitcoin. For others, it's gold. For me, it is both. But here's the thing about gold. Most of it just sits in vaults doing absolutely nothing. Monetary Metals is changing that. They let you earn a return on your physical gold holdings, but they pay it in gold itself, not dollars. So instead of your gold just sitting there, it can generate more gold for you. So to put it simply, if you deposit 100 ounces and earn around 4%, at the end of the year you're going to have 104 ounces of gold, regardless of whatever happens to the price of gold in dollars. And in a world where fiat currencies are constantly losing value, earning a return in actual gold ounces is pretty cool. It's essentially making your gold productive instead of idle. Now, if you hold gold and want to learn more, check them out at monetary-metals.com/McCormack. That is monetary-metals.com/McCormack. All right, let's talk to you about my sponsor, Ledden. Now, if you're borrowing against your Bitcoin, there's one thing that matters more than anything else. Is it actually safe? Well, Ledden have just dropped their lowest rates ever, but more importantly, they haven't changed the thing that matters most. Your Bitcoin is never lent out. So they're not chasing yield, there's no hidden risk, and there's no rehypothecation. Just collateralized loans done properly. Now, they've done over $10 billion in loans, and they've done this through bull markets, through bear markets, and everything in between. And they've done it without ever losing any client assets. So now you get lower rates, which means the bigger the loan, the lower the rate, and full transparency before you apply. There's no monthly payments or early repayment penalties, and they give you tools to stay in control, from auto top-ups to LTV alerts. So you're not choosing between a good rate and safety anymore, because with Ledden you get both. Now, you can check out your rate using the calculator at ledden.io/Peter. So there's Chess the game, which you love, and Chess the establishment that can go fuck itself.
Well, Chess the establishment, there are different examples. I mean, there's the official chess organization which is FIDE, which is like the FIFA of chess, which actually quite early on proclaimed my innocence in an official report, and they fined Magnus 10,000 euros. So they were on my side to a degree. And you have different chess organizations. I mean, the Chess Mafia mainly controls the online chess. Well, I mean, for now, it's my company Endgame AI. Is gonna challenge them. And then they obviously control Chess Media, which is all the content creators, which are under exclusive agreements with them. So they kind of control what they say. I would compare it to sort of I call them one. This should have made it in the doc, where I basically look at the chess world as an island. And there's this island which is governed by FIDE, which is the official chess organization, and their budget a year, I think they spend maybe 15, 20 million, maybe it's more, but they do have the whole ecosystem. They're like the government. But then you have this oil company that all these precious minerals and oil that works, and they make about $150 million a year on this island. And to ensure that government doesn't interfere with them, they bought all the politicians. They bought the prison, and they basically bought everything in the island, so they have no consequences. So, I mean, that's the analogy I've given.
Is this chess.com?
Yes.
There's two dudes.
Yeah, them and Magnus IndyCar I consider like a company that took over a small country.
But you had a good relationship with them at one point.
It's funny, that honestly should have been pushed back in the documentary.
Okay.
He tries to paint himself as a mentor, which is ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, that I really was annoyed that my counter to that wasn't included, because I met Danny for the first time in person 2 weeks before the Singapore Cup. So he was making it seem like he was mentoring. He knew me from a young age. First time we ever spoke on the phone was I was 16 years old. Then he makes it seem like he was mentoring me. He was trying to make my career. We had this close relationship. I mean, this was something included for the dramatic effect. I mean, for the first time that I even met him in person was 2 weeks before in Miami, which was discussed in the documentary, and then at the Singfield Cup opening ceremony, where he was very kind to me. I mean, very nice, not like acting how someone would act after in 4 days they try to ruin your life. So my relationship with them was okay. I was a streamer, and I streamed a lot playing chess online, and they were the only real option. It's not like I held, the funny thing enough is I was actually a brand ambassador of their competitor, the Play Magnus group, which was Magnus' company. And this is actually really interesting. People, I don't know why no one pays attention to this, is that starting from 2022 in January, I was the brand ambassador of the Play Magnus group, which was, it's called Play Magnus. So the two most prominent ambassadors of this company were Magnus and I. They invited me to all their tournaments. They actually helped my career a lot. They gave me a wildcard invite to this tournament in Miami that you see in the documentary, where I beat him for the first time. And the funniest thing is that in the documentary, they're saying, oh, Hans, everyone was suspicious. This was a boiling pot, all these things. They're like, oh, he was an issue. Why was I the brand ambassador with my face right next to Magnus's, attending all of his tournaments? To me, the greatest thing that has not been discussed is people ask, why did he do all of this? And they make these excuses about online cheating, all of this and that, players making years. The real thing is that he was mentally broken. If he had all these issues with me, why was I a brand ambassador of his company 2 months ago? 2 months before that match? Why was I given a wild card invitation to a tournament that he basically decides to players 2 weeks before the Singfield Cup? So this everything kind of exploded from this game, and he had this crazy reaction. So, I think that's something that people should focus on much more. Because this, back to your original question, that I was close to chess.com, the year prior, I was promoting the competitor. So, I wouldn't say that really didn't, wasn't conducive to the relationship at all. And for context, during that Singfield Cup is when they acquired the Play Magnus group that I was previously before. And that should not have been approved by the Department of Justice. That was an illegal merger, for sure.
A monopoly.
A complete monopoly. And so this was all happening. So we had all this leverage. Even Danny in the documentary says, this merger is going down. I was too worried about a relationship with Magnus. I wanted to please him. And by pleasing him, I ruined this kid's life. So this was even admitted in the documentary. Another thing in the documentary that they say is that Magnus felt like he was gaslit by them because they said that they had evidence which they didn't have. So they're even turning on each other in the documentary.
They did the report, the 70-page
Yeah, well, that is just, a joke in and of itself. But the main point is in the documentary, Magnus says, before I dropped out, I was gaslit by chess.com to think that they had proof that they didn't. And that he said that he thought he had an ace in the hole, that chess.com was going to back him up because he withdrew. And then when it came down to it and he said, where's the evidence? They said, well, I'm sorry, we don't have any evidence. So in reality, the real, if you want to put the largest blame, it was on Danny for telling Magnus either what he wanted to hear or what he wanted to believe, but if they had no evidence.
But at the point of the report, where they'd ran every possible scenario.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing with the report. So people see this headline, he admitted to cheating, blah, blah, blah. So this is really ridiculous for so many reasons. I wish I could print out the report and go page for page with you. First of all, the fact they accuse me of admitting to these things, there's no admission in the report. There's no documented admission. They are accusing me of using unfair means in 100 games. I think it was maybe 6 events with prize money. Don't you think that if they confront me and they ban me, and it's such severe things with tens of thousands of money line, aren't they going to make me have a written admission? It's not like, if you get expelled from school or you get suspended in school for something, they're going to make you admit to what you did. In their report, first of all, they say that I admitted to all these things, but there's no record of admission. That's to me, the most ridiculous thing. The second thing is, in their own report, they use Ken Reagan as a supporting witness. Ken Reagan says 25 to 30 games.
Who's Ken?
Ken Reagan is one of the leading. FIDE uses him for his anti-cheating service. He's he's a professor at the University of Buffalo. He's regarded as an unbiased perspective in this realm.
And you agree with that? He is.
I in my opinion, he's very unbiased. I don't agree with his full analysis,
Okay.
but it's 25 to 30 is far less worse than what they accuse me of, which is ridiculous. Second of all, the timing of this report is ridiculous. They released this report the day of the U.S. Championship opening ceremony. And they were trying to basically get them to kick me out of the tournament. Because if they could get me kicked out of this tournament, they could completely get me blacklisted from over-the-board chess, which wasn't their domain. I mean, online, they banned me from their website. They kicked me out of a tournament with a $200,000 prize fund with no reason. The funniest thing about this is that, so there's this thing called the Global Chess Championship, which was one of the things they removed me from. Violating me, other than being violation of a contract. From legal sense, there's a lot more issues. But the funny thing enough is there were 3 players in that tournament that had been banned from cheating, like as adults in serious prize money events, right. But they're still letting them compete. The funniest thing is, like, you know, what I did as a child was stupid and was a mistake, but there are so many other players who made the same mistake.
What did you admit to?
So I admitted, and I mean, not also what I did is the same thing. When I was 12 years old, there was one prize money event, you know, where I think I won $100. And then that was the only instance of any cheating and like money events. And people hear this headline, you cheated in 100 games. But then you should think about, like, first of all, that's false. Second of all, how much money was on the line? Like, and what I've admit to, what I've discussed, how much money was on the line? Like, my greatest crime was winning $100 at 12 years old.
But
you know?
but you did in other games that weren't.
So those games, nothing was on the line. So I mean,
a ranking?
Online ranking has no meaning. So I understand people can say, yeah, but you did it anyways. The point is like, there was no money on the line, and online ranking has no bearing over the board chess. Like, over the board chess is official chess. Online chess, I wouldn't want to say it's not a gimmick, but it's like 2 entirely different things. I mean, it's like
I know from poker.
Yeah,
I mean, poker
like,
online.
Like chess players. I mean, for example, like for someone like cheating in the World Series of Poker when there's $10 million on the line, and then someone like being at home and like opening up some solver when they're playing poker. I mean, these are like wildly different things. Also, these are, you know, the point is I served a 6-month ban from prize money events because of that. So I faced the consequences.
But also, I think like Phil Hellmuth, like if he was caught cheating online, now you'd be like, really, Phil? You've got this big career. But when it's someone who's like 12, 13, 14 years old, I don't give a fuck.
I mean, the thing is that there are players who are really, really good right now. Let's say the top 10 of the world, who did far worse things than me. Is
that known in public?
It's an open secret. But But they haven't published their names. There's I would say right now, one of the top. I don't want to give a number. I don't want to narrow it down too easily. There's let's say in the top 10 right now, there's someone who's banned for cheating online and whose name they never published, they never attacked. You know, so I mean, to me, it's hypocrisy that my mistakes as a child were being sort of equivalent to actually me committing real fraud, like cheating in an event with $100,000 first prize. That's fraudulent. Like, that's not just, you know, banned from chess. You can go to jail for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's serious fraud. That's like CIA level, I mean, theatrics. So, I mean, that type of accusation, to compare those, I mean, people read the headline, Wall Street Journal, okay, you know, I hate this guy. But when you look into the details, it really, everything kind of starts to fall apart.
Huh. So, do you think Magnus...
I'll actually tell you a funny thing. Magnus actually cheated online on camera.
What?
Yeah, this is actually.
But did he do that to prove it?
No. I'll tell you. So this is actually quite funny. So he was streaming a tournament, and it's a prize money event, and another grandmaster sitting next to him, and the grandmaster says, "Make that move," and he didn't see that move. He made the move and won the game. That's like you should be. If I did that, I'd be banned.
Sorry, I don't even understand.
Okay. So he's playing an online chess tournament. He's live streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
Next to him is another grandmaster.
Yeah.
When you're playing on your own. This is not team.
Oh, he had somebody sat next to him.
Yeah, and the grandmaster told him a move.
Oh.
As soon as the grandmaster told him the move, he should have resigned the game.
Yeah.
And lost. What did he do? He made the move and won the game. So he's just cheated on camera. And I understand. Listen, if that does not show you how unserious online chess is, that the world champion is comfortable cheating on camera. I mean, if someone else tells you a move in an in-person event, you're banned. You know, like, you know, in in-person tournaments, you're not even allowed to talk to other players.
So, see, do you think he he even thinks you cheated, or do you think there's something else going on? Like you talk about the mafia.
Now there's no chance. Now there's absolutely no chance because, I mean, I've just performed so well in so many instances where it's just impossible. Like, it's actually funny that a lot of players. So one of the best like sort of cheat-proof games is blitz chess because it's so fast that you can't really get a single because you're literally going boom, 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 boom. So actually, that's my best format. So the funny thing, my best format is the format that's most like, insulated against that. There are other players who, let's say, people will accuse behind the scenes because they're really bad at the quicker formats. And they'll say, well, in the slow games, when you have all this time to get a signal, you're very good. But in the quick games, there's no time for it. So that's what people say behind the scenes. Chess players are very paranoid. So in that instance, honestly, now I don't think. And the security at tournaments is so intense. You're getting scanned by 2 different devices. You're scanned after the game. There's there's a delay of the broadcast. So you're watching the game live, right? That's a 15-minute delay.
Yeah, I've read about that. So I did the research because I was like, okay, look, if he has cheated, how? I was trying to imagine ways, and I looked it up, and they said there's a 15-minute delay.
Sometimes even 30 minutes. Some of the tournaments that I was performing, they put 30-minute delays.
So I was coming up with crazy ideas. Is there something you can put on your eye that reads it and feeds something back? I was like, how do you even get that fucking technology? Who can read? Because there has to be a way of inputting the moves and the board into a machine to feed. And
if you remove the relay, it's basically impossible. Again, to me, I think people are just way too paranoid.
I think life can change people. Your experiences can change people. And when I looked at Magnus, I find him interesting. I'd love to interview him as well one day. But I looked at him and I was like, is there a chance that the fame of it or the success or the money, is something in there has changed him? Could it be that he was the top player for so long and there was a threat to that and that's an ego damage?
I would say...
I think he could believe you cheated, but it's a subconscious belief created out of him having his own kind of idea he's the greatest ever.
I would say that in the chess world, he's kind of babied. Whatever he wants, he gets. A lot of the tournaments he plays, he decides the format. He has huge influence on who to invite. So since the chess is such a hierarchical, egotistical game, and he has all this influence and power, he develops sort of a god complex. For example, there was this tournament 2 weeks ago organized by Freestyle Chess, which he's an investor in and the main brand ambassador, and he got 3rd place. And he was the only player not to show up to the prize ceremony, which is spitting in the tournament's face. Imagine in a Formula 1 match, if someone got 3rd place and just didn't show up. It'd be a scandal. So this is obviously a tamer example, but generally, especially with his sort of new collaboration with chess.com, they had unlimited, monopolistic power. So there were not really reins on what they could get away with. And I think that's why they felt that they could be sort of judge, jury, and executioner. But that's not, you don't see that just in chess. You see that in
Yeah, but you see characters like you that other establishments struggle to deal with because they're so different. They can't take.
Yeah, sometimes when an establishment tries to ruin someone and they're able to rally public opinion, it's like a catalyst for lighting a fire and which can explode in their face.
Kind of need Dana White to do his version of chess.
Yeah, it's funny that I try, I'm trying to sort of make the UFC of chess and organize all these tournaments, try to make high stakes chess. I want to have it in a boxing arena, but
it requires personalities. The thing about
it requires personalities, but it also requires players' willingness to even engage in that type of fanfare and exhibition and from a very serious sport. It's difficult, and I'm not really in a position. If I was the number 1 player in the world, everyone would want to play me, and I would have that leverage to create spectacles like that.
Is chess a real meritocracy now, or is it like everything, like the media? Is now it's all about access?
Say chess is certainly far more of a meritocracy than poker or backgammon because there's no luck. but the system of chess is certainly lacking meritocracy because most of the top events are on an invitational basis. They don't have open qualifiers, and
Should they introduce those?
I mean every single top event should be majority open qualifiers. I mean it should be the entire system is really broken, and it really just if you're you're at the will of the organizer. I mean if one organizer doesn't like you or a tournament tour doesn't like you, your career, all your opportunities can vanish overnight. This happened actually with Kasparov. Did this to young Radjabov, who was one of the top young players who beat Kasparov when he was 15. He was kind of blacklisted. I mean, Karpov did this to Korchnoi. So Korchnoi defected from Russia, the Soviet Union, in Amsterdam, and then not a single tournament. They couldn't play together. The Russians weren't even allowed to play in any tournament where he was because he was a defector. He was an enemy of the state. I mean, at some point, I think they put his son in prison. So I suppose what I've experienced is soft compared to them. I have to toughen up.
So how do you think about chess now then? Like what does it actually mean to you as a person? Because you talk about people exiled from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
There have been these massive tournaments. In some ways, a Russian, I mean, I've only seen the old kind of documentaries, but there's like a Russian playing American. It's a bit like the space race.
Mm-hmm.
It
Exactly.
means some countries, it doesn't seem so here in the US, but in some countries, like chess means more than just a game.
Well, historically, let's say in the 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, more so the 1800s, chess was a game of aristocracy. It was a sign of class. It was a symbol of intellectual soft power. And once the Soviet Union kind of took control of chess, it was a part of their sort of international cultural hegemony and their ability to prove the superiority of the communist systems, ability to produce intellectuals that could dominate the world at the sort of arguably greatest form of intellectual warfare. And the Soviet Union treated chess as a sport. They had an amazing system of scouting talent in Siberia and all the places. They would nurture them. The Botvinnik School of Chess. He was a former world champion, Mikhail Botvinnik. They controlled the chess organization, which allowed them to control the formats and rig things in their favor. So chess does have a bit of a corrupt history. But obviously Bobby Fischer's triumph over that was very symbolic. And I mean, at that point, I have the personal belief that sort of Fischer won the Cold War from an ideological perspective by winning that match. I mean, when he won that match, he was arguably one of the most famous sportsmen in the world. Chess was being shown on Times Square on the TV. People were watching it in bars. He was offered $1 million to do a shampoo commercial. After that match in 1972, the Thriller in Manila, that money was for a Fischer chess rematch. So one of the greatest sporting events in boxing, which was in the Philippines in 1975, was supposed to be chess, but Fischer sort of refused and disappeared. So I think that chess has such history that a lot of sports lack. It's been a symbol of politics, of soft power, it's people take such pride in sports. Why not chess? I mean, in a small country, if someone from a small country wins a gold medal, it's a really big deal. I mean, especially in Uzbekistan, it's a sign of excellence. It's a way to inspire the youth. I mean, to laud chess champions as heroes, in my opinion, is a great thing for social development. And a lot of, in America especially, people idolize rappers. They idolize basketball players. They idolize influencers. They idolize, TikTokers. I mean, in my opinion, you should be idolizing scientists. I don't want to say selfishly chess players, or not even idolize, but they should be examples of what a society should strive for. If you want to make, people, if you want to have a more society with more social mobility to improve your education, it all starts you ask a kid, what do you want to be? And in a lot of countries, asking a kid what do you want to be, defines a lot. I mean, in some countries, everyone wants to be a soccer player. I mean, a football player. I mean, it really, it has a huge, it has a huge societal impact, like how you define, the metric for success, or the metric for people to look up to, because that, that can define a lot of people's lives.
Well,
right?
I wonder if we're in this kind of weird experimental phase has failed. This short-termism, this grift, this 3-second impress people. I mean, the other day I deleted about 170 apps off my phone. I'm deleting one a day. And I want to get down the phone so it's a tool, not a distraction anymore. And I see it with my kids. And I just wonder if there may be a renaissance. Like we return to wisdom and science and chess and ideas like that.
Yeah, I would say, if you look at Armenia as an example, chess is mandatory in all schools.
Oh, wow.
And, it has a great impact. And I think you see, at least in my high school, chess was mandatory. Actually, two of the schools I went to, chess was mandatory, or not mandatory, but part of the common curriculum. I think that with all these things being automated, we have to remind people how to think and to think themselves on a daily basis. So many parts of our life are being automated and controlled. So chess as a symbol of intellectual soft power, it is only growing. I mean, Zelensky just posted a photo with the European chess champion, a 17-year-old kid from Ukraine, who I'd never even heard of until a week ago. And then, Prime Minister Modi personally meets all the players, gives them awards. I remember one player from India beat me, became a grandmaster. He received 200 grand in land from his local state. There are many examples of politicians getting involved in sports. Chess, not as much, but growing. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a day when prime ministers are joking at a press conference, like, "Oh, my chess guy beat your chess guy." I mean, they do that about all sports. I mean, chess is unlike America has this huge sports ecosystem of NBA, NFL, but they're not really global sports. And chess is a truly global sport. I mean, the viewership is global, but it's not. The competition isn't. And
so a lack of support here in
in America, you don't have the same sort of government style support as other places. I mean, I haven't had any sponsors or much support from the American, let's say, chess establishment. Now that's sort of changing. But actually in England, they announced a grant for chess players. I think it was around £650,000. That was maybe under Rishi Sunak, which has been good. So, that type of support can make a big difference at a core level. I personally believe that, chess should be in every school in America, and that could have a profound educational impact. But, chess teaches you the critical thinking skills. It teaches you give consequences to your actions. There are extensive studies done on the impact of chess on education. Also the whole gamified aspect. Would you rather your kids playing Flappy Bird or chess? If your kids are going to be on their iPad all day and they're sort of addicted to screen time, you might as well have them do something productive. I think I don't see any negative impact to making chess a curriculum in school.
Do you think one of the issues is for some people it's not seen as cool? Others, you've obviously.
Well, that's all about perspective, right? In some places
that I go,
it's all about culture. It's all about, I guess, maybe some people like myself doing podcasts like this, trying to make chess a cool thing or presentable to the audience. I would say that there's certainly a negative connotation or nerdy connotation, but in other countries it's the exact opposite. I competed in Russia last year, and when I introduced myself as a chess grandmaster, I'm considered like a pillar, a cultural pillar of society. Like they look at a chess grandmaster like, wow, in America, in some, let's say, posher circles, if I mention I'm a chess player, they say, but how do you make money? So it's all about.
But that's so American.
Obviously, America is quite a money-centric, classless society, but it's all about, I guess, culture and culture. If the government announced a huge chess initiative, or if a lot of celebrities playing chess, a lot of NFL guys like chess, I think those types of cultural movements need proper role models.
Do you think you were possibly born in the wrong time?
I think life before phones and before technology would have been amazing. People try, to to emulate that experience with members clubs where phones aren't allowed and things are natural. One of the things I enjoyed most about traveling, and you can find pockets of living life in a real way, is that you know, a conversation with a taxi driver or a conversation with a random person, it can be genuine, enlightening, and interesting. You know, I think I struggle to have interesting social experiences like on command. I mean, it's everything is rehearsed, planned, scheduled. I would enjoy far more surprises in my life. I mean, perhaps I had more of those in Montenegro and Kazakhstan, but I don't find myself often being surprised in New York or cities I'm familiar with, because everyone is always on their guard. I mean, the concept of socializing with strangers has been corrupted by social media and people being very wary. I guess when you read the news and you see all these freak accidents and all these negative things, you're very wary of strangers, rightfully so. But it's limited. I mean, a natural human connection.
So why are you here in New York then?
Well,
it sounds like when you travel, you have better experience.
Well, I mean, they're different. I mean, when I'm traveling, I'm competing. It's quite different, but all societies, I guess, are similar, at least the Western ones. But right now, I'm not really focused on socializing. I'm trying to win. Perhaps if I want a social life, I don't know, find somewhere normal.
Well, when have you experienced that, though? Like,
no, I would say...
when was your last surprise?
My last surprise, I mean... No, there are small surprises, but... To me, the most interesting points in my life were when I was from the age of 17 to 19. And I lived in hotels for 2 years. I was in like 25 countries a year. And it was just so interesting. Everything was so new. I mean, every city was something unique. And I was not burdened by all the distractions I have now. So it's a bit different, but you have to really, really try to find unique experiences. I mean, I just think that people should be nicer to strangers, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel like there should be members clubs where everyone's nice to strangers. I don't know. I just find speaking to new people so much more interesting.
Do you break the pattern yourself then?
Definitely. But never alone. I mean, maybe you go out with friends to I don't know, maybe I've had some interesting times in some of the members clubs in London.
Yeah.
But they're also posh and elitist.
That's also true.
But tradition and elitism, has some place. It's a bit, maybe not elitism, but tradition. I like, I did a simul at Eton, and
that's pretty elite.
I did it. I mean, more it's just I did an exhibition in a simultaneous exhibition. I gave a talk, and they gave me a tour of the chapel, like the 500-year-old chapel. And I was like, this is pretty. It's just like, wow. I mean, in America, you don't have such tradition. It was interesting to have something like 500 years always here, and this, like they mentioned, we have pretty interesting speakers. Putin came recently. I'm like, but I guess I enjoy exploring new experiences, and I want to be stimulated. And I also find that life is a means of inspiration for my chess. So if I find some chess players, have never had a girlfriend. I mean, they've never gone to a bar. They've never been to like a club. They've never, traveled without their parents. I mean, a lot of chess players my age are very sheltered. So maybe I have some distractions, but I also think I have a inspiration from life. And like when I have a really cool social experience or have a great trip, I feel like that, invigorates me, or perhaps motivates me. That creativity can manifest itself on the chessboard or in other ways.
So what now? What is the next year, 10 years?
A lot of competing, actually. I mean, I'm playing Warsaw on the Grand Chess Tour, which is actually one of my first big opportunities in a really long time. And then after that, I'm playing in Serbia, from Serbia to Uzbekistan, from Uzbekistan to Hong Kong, from Hong Kong to India, from India to Saudi. We're in like August, so a lot of competing, which I'm very happy about. I mean, if I don't compete for a month, oh my God, I'm just, what do I do? Do I have to? I play a lot of tennis now.
Okay.
So
I started playing tennis.
Really, we can play.
I'm not very good.
You're not very good. Okay.
I will play.
I have a. I don't want. I play somewhere in New York, which is very nice, indoor courts. But anyway, it's like a secret place. But I don't.
We play a version called tens where we get rid of serves and we play first to 10.
Yeah.
You get a lot more rally.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's a good.
Have you played paddle?
Yeah, but it's great with friends, but it's not technical enough, and it's too quick. It's too easy. There's no like.
It's good when you're 47.
Yeah, I mean, there's no delayed gratification. Like I play a lot of paddle with chess players, and it's so funny. I feel like I'm like Michael Jordan paddle. Like when I play with these other grandmasters, I'm so good, and then I play with my friends. I'm like, oh wow, like, I've got some work to do. Tennis is my serious sport. I invest a lot of time into tennis.
So I started playing tennis in the summer gone. First, like I hadn't played since I was a kid. I find tennis is a bit like golf in that I'm never content. Like
you can always,
yeah, because you always think I can be a bit better. My backhand could be better. My forehand could be better. What?
To me, it's more fulfilling, and it's also it's a great way to let out frustration. It's like you're just sort of hitting the ball. I mean, to me that's.
But there's a field when you connect with it well.
Yeah, I mean, every time you hit a nice shot or you feel the form. I mean, it's such a hard sport. And I mean, I personally love tennis. I also find it like just great for my chess. Like if I'm having to consciously think about how I'm hitting the ball, I can translate that to certain things in chess where I have to consciously think about this or that, because some things in chess are intuitive. So sometimes you have to push yourself to be conscious about certain decisions or certain positions where that things could go awry. So it's all about, I mean, you probably read System 1, System 2 thinking.
Nope.
It's called a book called Thinking Fast and Slow.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to balance that. So, and sometimes in chess, we rely a lot on our System 1 and our intuition, but you have to also sometimes have a conscious thinking. And I mean, in tennis, when it's so quick, you have to remind yourself. I have to remind myself, like even I'm a bit sore. I mean, you have to like remind yourself, head over, all the form and like the footwork. And I find those conscious things help me be more present in high stakes moments.
Yeah, I think you were born at the wrong time. My son does. We watched a film called Mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like, that was when I was a similar age to a little bit younger than you are now. It was, God, I sound like a patronizing bastard, but we used to go skateboarding. That's all we did. There were no mobile phones. Well, the only phones were these. I used to
longboard a lot. I grew up in California.
Oh, cool.
But I was more of a longboarder. I could never do the tricks.
But there was no phones. The ones that existed, these big bricks, you had to turn up on time to meet people.
The lack of punctuality in our society is something I find so disturbing.
Because of these, you had to turn up on time.
It's honestly, because then what's going to happen? Honestly, and this is really bad in New York. People are so late and so discourteous. I actually there was something I hosted where I started at 8, and I sent out like a text blast at 8:30. I'm locking the doors, and if you don't come in, like you're just
fuck you.
Too bad. I mean. I just think it's so discourteous. I don't understand people who are like consistent. Like I once played tennis, and you're paying by the hour. It's not cheap. 30 minutes late 4 times in a row.
Come on.
I mean,
that's not acceptable.
You gotta. So I mean, at some point you're like, okay, man. Like the 4th time, you'd be like, dude, like
I need a new partner.
I mean, yeah.
Listen, man, it was great to meet you. I found this fascinating. I'll definitely bring my tennis racket next time I'm.
If you want to play, I can book something.
Well,
for
when
you.
You come to London, you'll probably come to London before I come back.
Yeah, maybe Wimbledon. For me, whenever I have breaks from tournaments, I just go to tennis. I just go places where there's good tennis. Like
so I can get a Wimbledon ticket.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
Wimbledon. I've never. I went to Roland Garros once, and my friend had these amazing company box. I had no appreciation. I was like on my phone playing chess the whole time. Now I'm watching Djokovic. I go there with Djokovic. I'm going to be there. Like, I'll be so into it. So it's so funny. I had the best tennis experience of my life with no appreciation. So I have to go back and appreciate the great things that life.
I'll take you to a football match as well.
Yes, okay.
If you like football.
I've actually never been to.
You never been. So I own a football team.
I saw that. Yes, I saw
We're
that.
We're a small team. We're non-league.
Like the Jake Gyllenhaal. Who's that? Who are those actors who started the team? Wrexham.
Oh, what's his name?
Wrexham, no?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah. So Wired wrote an article.
You're working there. You're working to.
Well, so I bought a team in the 10th tier.
Okay.
And the team they bought was in the 5th tier.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so we're now in the 7th tier. Yeah, so we've had 3 promotions. So, you know, then Wired wrote an article. They called me the budget Ryan Reynolds. Motherfuckers.
Well, I have faith. I have faith.
Yeah, I got to get a red eye back. We're in a playoff game coming up. But no, definitely. You come over, we'll look after you. So look, reflecting on it all, whether it's Magnus or anyone else who's made these accusations, like, how do you reflect on it? What do you think about that now? What do you think about them? Do you care now? Are you just...
For me, there are some remnants, some things I want to do, some I don't know, scores to settle, but some wrongs I want to right.
Okay.
But the prevailing thing is I just have to win. And anything that's not helping me winning is just distraction from my life. So if my daily routine consists of anything else, of exercising or training, there's no place in my life for that.
So if you lose your next match, is it my fault for distracting you today?
No. I mean, I've been training. I've actually been training a lot. I mean, even tomorrow, I'm going to some like Netflix premiere for this movie Apex.
Okay.
And then I'm doing some media stuff, but actually just the post Netflix. But I think after this, I'll be 2 months very focused. Not a glass of wine, very, very, very disciplined.
My son will kill me if I don't ask you about this because he called me beforehand because he watched it all. And he was like, ask him about the New York scene, that park, that famous...
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's the reason I got in touch with him. I saw it in the thing. I was like, oh, he must be in New York. He just said to ask you, like, what is that scene like?
So this is legendary, first of all, because Bobby Fischer and all, grew up playing there. And I actually, I grew up in Connecticut. So I take the train and it's about an hour and a half. And I would play for like 12 years old. And there's this guy, Russian Paul. And I would have a minute, he would have 2 minutes. We'd play for money. I wanted to make some money, for whatever. And I would play these guys. And it was, I was used to all the trash talk. I mean, these 60-year-old guys all trash talking me, smoking weed at the same time, I mean, didn't really blowing, cigarette smoke in my face. I kind of built up my grit and my mentality. And I just would always go back because I just love the scene because it's, for me, I just love chess so much. I'm such a passionate player. And to see them, it's the purest form of passion because they're not there because they want to make money. They're not there because they want to become famous. They're not there for the accolades. They're there because they love sitting in the park, playing chess and just, hanging out with their friends. I mean, that is to me the purest form of passion because it's uncorrupted by all these exterior factors. I mean, it's like a painter who paints just for the fun of it, and is not beholden to having to sell his painting, to having, to me, it's an amazing reminder of why, the why of what I'm doing, and why I'm pursuing all these things and why I'm making so many sacrifices in pursuit of something so supposedly impossible.
Well, next time I'm in New York, if my son's with me and you're here, take him down.
No, you can. It'll be a funny interaction.
You'd love to see it.
Yes.
Hans, great to meet you. I really enjoyed this. Good luck with everything, and if you do get to number 1, stay in touch.
Yes, likewise. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone listening. See you soon.